Welcome to the Northumberland Festival of the Arts. My name is Shane Joseph, and in this series called Northumberland Art Lovers, we feature interviews and discussions with individual artists, leaders of arts groups and organizations, civic leaders, and arts lovers in our county. Today, we have the privilege of speaking to two of our county's independent booksellers, Jennifer Bogart of Let's Talk Books in Cobourg and Lou Pamenter of Furby House Books in Port Hope, both located in the lovely county of Northumberland. So welcome, Jennifer and Lou.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So let me ask you, we have been wondering, and I have been wondering in particular, because I own a small business too, how did you folks weather the pandemic? Jennifer, why don't you go first?
See, I feel like I'm on the spot all of a sudden. It's fine. We just did what we always do. We maintained really good connections with our local community, and made sure that we were providing the best services that we could to everybody. We weathered it. We're still here. I mean, honestly, I think it's a big shout out to our locals who made sure that they were ordering it online through our web store, taking advantage of delivery when we were in full lockdown, and then switching over to taking advantage of curbside instead of relying on bigger online stores. So yeah, we made out okay. We're still here, and that's, I think, really the biggest thing.
No, that's great. That's great. And Lou, how did you manage?
Well, we started by furloughing most of the staff, and we just had 2 staff in with shortened hours. But we emphasized the online. We did backdoor pickups, and we offered free delivery. And again, I'd echo what Jen said. The locals were extremely supportive. They kept on buying. Sales were definitely down, there's no question, because there was no impulse buying, but they did what they could to keep us going. So we made it.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. Now, have reading tastes changed over the last 2 years, given that people are all indoors and all that kind of stuff? What do you think, Lou?
Well, I think at the moment there's more nonfiction being read. I didn't see that coming necessarily as a large trend. So I don't know whether it's really pandemic related or not, but certainly that's where it's at the moment.
And Jennifer, what do you think?
I actually just found people seem to be reading a lot and taking away from, they spend so much time on screens that they don't want to do that anymore. So they're asking us for physical books. And like Lou said, there's a lot more nonfiction reading. I also think the nonfiction books that are being released right now read more like novels. So they're more engaging, and they're definitely easier and more interesting to read, I find anyway. But yeah, I honestly, people are just reading. Like they're tired of looking at a TV. They're tired of being on social media and doing Zoom calls, or, you know, all of those things that we've had to do. So they're just picking up books in general.
Well, that's good. Well, that's good. At least they're picking up books. That's very refreshing. Now, I'm not going to dwell on the pandemic, because we're here to talk about the festival. But there was something that I think we all learned from this experience, which I think we shouldn't forget. It changed us, right? It changed us, and especially in the way we ran our businesses. If I were to ask you, what is the one thing you learned personally about running a small business during a time like this? What would you say, Jennifer?
You have to be flexible. Like, you have to be ready to jump in with both feet and take the risk and say, okay, we can't do this, so we're going to do this other thing instead. And you have to stay connected to the people in your community, because they're the ones who really do support you and keep you on your feet. I mean, Cobourg is, you know, traditionally a very tourist centric area, and we didn't have that. And during the first 2020, the first time that this was happening. So we couldn't rely on people coming in and using the beach and using the harbor and coming in and shopping. So we really had to stay connected to our local community.
Good. And Lou, how did you manage? What did you learn?
Well, I think I moved from being a bookstore owner to a full-fledged salesperson, which was an interesting experience because I've got a great staff. Goodness, but I became that staff along with Alex. And I think we likely are making slightly different, maybe better informed decisions because of it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's what I like about small bookstores or independent bookstores is that the person behind the counter has read the book.
Oh, yeah. They're so
And they
knowledgeable.
can talk about the book and talk up the book, which you don't really get in the big stores. So that's really, really great. We're going to leave this awful pandemic, even though it hasn't left us yet. And we're going to talk about the future and talk about the festival. But I think the lesson I got from talking to you just now was that you guys are resilient, very resilient, and that is the theme of the conference, of the festival. It's called resilience. So let me switch to the Northumberland Festival of the Arts. What part can local bookshops play in the festival? Jennifer, you've been closest to the festival.
I've been very close to the festival. I think just being supportive of all the activities that that will be involved. So putting up posters, letting people know that things are happening within the community, and engaging and just being available to help within reason, however we can. So.
Good. Yeah, I'm sure we'll probably look forward to some events taking place at or around the bookshop. And Lou, what can you guys do to help us
Well, I assume connections with local authors would be helpful. And yes, we would publicize everything. Not a problem with that.
Good. We'll keep that in mind as we keep getting closer to the date. And how can the festival itself help you in running your business or in growing your business? Can you?
I was a little foxed by that question. I wondered, Shane, what thoughts you had.
Well, you're putting me on the spot there, but let me answer. I think we should have some events in your bookshop. We should have some authors in there reading, because authors bring people and people buy books. So if you are prepared to host some of the authors who we can bring over, I mean, I'm a publisher too, so I can bring in some of my authors. If you can bring our authors in, and there are a lot of authors in Northumberland County alone, then we could have some events at your store and make it a win-win for both. So that's what I'd look forward to if you guys are open to it. All right. So any other great ideas that you have for us before we wrap up, because we have a limited time on this show.
I think from my perspective, I think it's important for people to realize that everybody's working together. You know, like Lou and I work together all the time. We're constantly referring people to Furby House if we don't have something. I see that they share our events and things that are happening. So it's a partnership, it's not a competition. And I'd like to think that the festival would work the same way, where it's a partnership, where we're always, promoting each other and helping each other to connect to the things and the resources that we need.
Yeah, no, that's in fact, that is the case. We are basically a portal to bring in all of the artists in this area to showcase their wares, right? It's not a competition. It's a display, if you will.
Exactly.
Yeah.
How about a celebration?
Any final thoughts, Lou, on this upcoming?
Call it a celebration, Shane.
That's it. I like that. I like celebration. Well, I thank you very much, both of you, for taking the time to speak to me today, and for viewers for viewing us, and hope you will visit these two bookshops, lovely bookshops in Port Hope and Cobourg, and support them as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Shane.
Goodbye.
Thank you.